Good afternoon, Chair Kenny Geyer, members of the committee. My name is Henry Lauer. I am a graduate student in social work at PSU, and I'm here today speaking as a member of the National Association of Social Workers Oregon chapter. Now, naturally, we, the NASW, believe that housing is a fundamental human right. But what I'm here today to try and draw to your attention is what we see every day, which is that when you have a housing crisis, everyone suffers, but the people that are already marginalised, who already experience oppression, who are already getting less, suffer far more. You get a magnification of effect. So I wanted to just remind you of the experiences of some of these communities, because someone needs to speak to this, and if it falls to us, then so be it. I wanted to remind you that the problem of housing has been impacting Oregonians of colour for decades. It's not a new thing. And that it's wonderful that we're talking about it now as it intensifies, but it's something that needed to be talked about 10 years ago, who knows, maybe 150 years ago. I wanted to remind you about the impact on young people and seniors, the chaos that comes for a young person who doesn't have stability or who is constantly moving. Or about the stories I hear from colleagues who work in homeless shelters, of the number of people in their 80s who are coming in, who experience violence on the streets, indignity. This is not what should be happening for senior Oregonians. I wanted to remind you about the well-documented impact of homelessness and the way that it has a disproportionate presence in LGBTQ communities, particularly transgender communities. I wanted to remind you that for women who are already often paid less cents in the dollar than men, that rising rents and an inability to find affordable housing is an especial burden, and especially for single mothers. And I think we would agree, especially for women who are trying to escape the threat of domestic violence. I want to draw your attention to the experiences of folk who have disabilities, who cannot find housing even though they're receiving Social Security because the cost is more than their monthly check. Is it okay for them to live on the streets? I've worked with clients. I'm working with a client right now in that position. It's utterly ridiculous. It's really heartbreaking. I want to draw your attention to those who are struggling with mental illness, those who are trying to overcome substance use disorders. So this is a problem that is not just about supply and demand. It's about structural inequality. And we, NASW, believe that this bill could be a great tool for alleviating some of that structural inequality. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you so much. So Felisa Higgins, Bev Logan, Bob Brown.